I'm Mark Alyn. We're going to have a lot of fun today. I'm eating some blueberries because it's our main ingredient in tonight's dish. Uh, we're we're going to be making a Dutch baby with an old friend, and we're starting a new beginning. We met over 30 years ago, and we reconnected through the power of Mark Alyn cooks. It's amazing. And so I'm really looking forward to Jim Purtee. He's a senior advisor coming on the show. This is Mark Alyn Cooks Your Dinner. Join us right now. We'll be back. I'm just putting my blueberries away. Hi. Listen, during our show today, if you have any comments or thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching this in the recorded version, we'd still love to hear from you. So let us know, what you think of what we're doing. We're going to make a Dutch baby today. So this is kind of like breakfast for dinner. And my mom used to do that quite a bit. We'd have omelets, and she'd make blintzes. And I always thought, I want that for breakfast. I don't want that for dinner. I want, but hey, we do what we did. All right, let's go to Chatsworth, California. And we're going to visit with our friend Jim Purtee. Jim, how are you?
Hey, Mark, I am doing great. It's so great to reconnect with you through the show.
It really is. It's funny. You're the second person we've reconnected with. I reconnected with somebody I went through from elementary through high school with a couple of maybe a month and a half ago. Anyway, we're going to, as we always do, we're going to start our show with a toast. And I have Dubonnet. Let me know what you have.
I've got a peach Bellini.
A peach Bellini, which will be perfect with our Dutch baby.
I think so.
To friends, to new beginnings of friends.
Salute.
Salute. And this is perfect. Dubonnet is a French aperitif, and it really perks your appetite. Carol and I were at the Polo Lounge this last weekend, and we had brunch there. And one of their signature cocktails is what you're drinking, Jim, a peach Bellini. Well, we should get to it, I think. All right. We're going to start. I'm going to bring up our mixer, and I think that's what we should start with, Jim. Or should we start with? I think we'd start with this and then do the blueberries.
Yeah, I think your pan is getting hot already, so you're good there.
Right.
And do your mix, and then get going with the butter and the blueberries.
Got it. So it works.
That's good.
Now, when you're doing something with a blender, always cover it. I did it because I knew there was nothing inside. If there had been something inside, Carol would have killed me. All right. What goes in first, Jim?
You can put in your dry ingredients first.
Okay. So I've got a half a cup of flour. I've got from our garden, this is the zest of a Meyer lemon.
Perfect.
And it's, whoop, got it. A dash of salt. Now I'm going to put it in my hand, and it's really a small amount of salt.
And all your ingredients are at room temperature, right? So you're good
yeah,
there,
everything
right?
is at room temperature, even the eggs, which we're going to
Perfect.
put in a minute. I've got, I think it's a teaspoon of granulated sugar. So there's not a lot of sweet in this from sugar.
Right. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's still a pancake.
Yeah, got it. So you can put maple syrup on it or
Yeah,
jam or whatever.
you can douse it with whatever you want at the end.
Got it. So I've got, this is some lemon juice. And again, And the only other ingredient, oh, I've got egg or milk. Does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You can throw the eggs in and then the milk, or vice versa.
Now I'm going to crack the eggs. I am not going to use the shell.
That's, that's a good thing.
Yes. Whoop. Well, I said I wasn't going to use
I
the
thought
shell.
you weren't.
It happens.
There we go.
Okay.
No problem.
And we've got this, by the way, is a very simple and easy recipe. Um, it it really is, and it's going to puff up. And when it does that, I'm excited to see it because we're not putting any, baking powder in it or anything.
Right.
And we have milk next. Okay, so that is our batter. And now we'll put this up.
Yeah.
This is in our Vitamix, and we'll turn it on.
There you go.
So, someplace I can see there's a little bit of flour on the side here.
Yeah, I want to scrape that down. And
Yeah. Uh, Jim has spent. Oh, is it on that side too? How's that, Carol?
there we go. Getting that
All right.
one side.
Got it. Oop. Okay. All right, here we go.
Quick pulse.
I'm sorry, what was that, Jim?
I said another quick pulse, and you're good.
Got it. We'll do that. So we're going to leave that for a moment, and we're going to come back over here. We've been heating a pan. I'm going to turn it up a little bit, and I'm going to put in 3 tablespoons of butter. Now, when you cook, Jim, you told me the other day you don't really follow a recipe. You follow kind of a thought, if you will.
Yeah, I think um, you kind of think in flavors, and so you know what will work together, and you can build on that. So the recipe is just your starting point for this. For any recipe, just start it out and then adjust it the way you like it by feel.
Got it. And do you cook? I know you want to please people, but do you cook for yourself in your own taste, and people either like it or they don't?
I cook what I like, and I haven't had anybody complain yet.
Got it.
So that's a good thing.
All right, we have the butter, and it's browned a little bit. Um, Jim recommends using a cast iron skillet, and Carol dug out of our attic or someplace a cast iron skillet. So we had one. I'm now going to put in a cup of blueberries, and using a mitt and
Yeah,
a
just
spatula.
there we
And we
go.
don't want to cook these too long, right?
Right, you're good. You can grab the batter already.
All right. I'm going to turn it off, right?
Yeah, you can because you're going to move right to the oven as soon as you dump in the batter.
And I'm going to put the batter in. Oh, wow. Now, there we go. And Jim, can I stir this around so all the blueberries are.
Yeah, you can stir it or shake it around, kind of get that distributed.
Now, normally I would have put, well, I guess the butter is in there. Good. All right.
Yeah, you're
Now,
good.
I'm going to open up our oven. And here we go. The oven's at 425 degrees. And we're going to let that cook for maybe 15 minutes. And hi, I used to be. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, I don't know. I've got to find a really great mitt. Um, Maybe I need to just have Carol sew some eyes on. I
Yeah,
don't.
a couple googly eyes on there, and you're good to
Yeah,
go.
right. So while we're waiting for the Dutch baby, I wanted to show you something. Do you know what this is? You heard what Carol called it before we started. This is a lemon cucumber that we
We
grew.
grew we grew some last year, and it
Did you?
actually has a little bit of a citrusy taste.
Yeah, it does. And I peel them because, and you could, I guess you could rub off. There's a rough
Spiny,
patch
yeah.
to it. Yeah, spiny stuff. So you can't really eat the skin, but they're so sweet and good. And I just wanted to share that with everybody. All right, we're going to talk about some questions. Um, Jim, do you know other names for a Dutch baby?
Oh, everything from puff pancake, German pancake. I've heard lemon pancake, and then there's some really weird names like
Yes,
hootenanny. So I'm sure
hootenanny.
you've got, yeah,
Well, or a hooligan, a hooligan,
yeah. I
right?
don't know where that comes from.
I have no idea. Bismarck, which comes from its German origins, and according to the internet, this is known as an American pancake now.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and it's not Dutch. I mean, it was Deutsch, being German, and then it got confused with Dutch, and it doesn't come from Holland. It originated in Germany, and boy, America has really taken it over, I guess.
Got it. Let's talk about Jim. You, you spent years working in government. You now
Right?
consult with companies who want to work with government. We met when I was producing some videos for the city of Simi Valley. You were the assistant city manager, and I know you moved to Palmdale. I think you were the city manager,
Right.
and you have a couple of. I know there's a foundation and a hospital that you're still involved with out in the Palmdale area. When did you decide that I've had enough of government stuff, and I can understand that right now? Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, folks. I've had enough. Um, that cooking was important to you.
Boy, cooking from a really young age was important. Like 6, 7 years old, I was already cooking meals. And then by the time I was about 13, I got a job, really started washing dishes at an Italian restaurant. And then they taught me some of the Italian sauces, and really kind of learned you know good cooking at that point, and not just amateur cooking. And then uh, in high school, I cooked at a restaurant, a steakhouse in the valley called Sutter's Mill. And so some
Still
people might
there?
remember
I think it's
that.
still there.
There's still a Sutter's Mill. They moved one, or put one in Simi Valley on Tapo Canyon. There's
That's
still
the one I've been
a
to.
Sutter's Mill
Yeah.
there. Yeah, and that's from the original owners. Their kids and grandkids still run it. And you can get the same food that was back in the 70s. You can still get it there.
Wow. Um, do you come from a family of foodies? I mean, is your mother a good cook, or was she a good cook?
So one of the reasons, and I hope she doesn't watch this, but one of the reasons I learned how to cook was self-preservation. She was a terrible cook, and so it was very much just meat and potatoes, and the meat wasn't good until it was dry as a bone. And if she cooked a turkey, you shook it when it rattled, then it was done.
Oh God.
And so
And I asked this a lot of people. What about Brussels sprouts? She made them gray, right? If she
oh,
made them,
boil them. Yeah,
yeah,
instead nobody roasted Brussels sprouts back in the day. You just would boil them, and then we would pile on the vinegar so you could swallow them.
yeah. That's it's funny when I roast Brussels sprouts and I think about my mom. I just and my mother-in-law. They were, for the most part, they were gray. Um, I made them for your mom. and she loved them. And I roasted them and then made a Dijon mustard sauce with them.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
You
I'm
did. You were looking at me. You didn't make them for Jim's mom.
No, I didn't make them for Jim's mom. I made them for Carol's mom.
I was wondering. I mean, we have the
Yeah,
same color hair.
exactly. That's it. Um, do you find cooking relaxing?
Yeah, even when I'm cooking for big groups and we have foodie groups come over and we'll do themed dinners and things like that. And to me, it's like the more pressure to knock things out, the more I can focus and forget about everything else. So it's relaxing. I mean, it's got its own stresses, but they're not real stresses. They're fun stresses to make things happen.
Well, according to doctors, everybody needs a certain amount of fun stress in their lives,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that's really important. You know, I forgot to put something in. I forgot to put the vanilla in. Nuts.
No, we'll be okay.
All right.
Too
Uh,
late.
too late.
Yeah, sprinkle it on
Every
now.
every week, it was sitting right here in front of me. That's your fault, Jim.
Okay.
Okay. When when I cook, I like the eating part, and I love talking about food and learning about food. You traveled all over the world. What is your favorite? Where's your favorite place to go to eat?
Boy, probably my favorite food is Mediterranean food, whether it's Greek or Spanish or Italian. Not all those are on the Mediterranean, but um, there's just something about that style of cooking and that style of food. And so a lot of my recipes, kind of my go-tos, are things like kapama, which probably most people have never heard of that one, but it's a cinnamon chicken. It's a Greek chicken. That's wonderful. And then another chicken dish I really enjoy cooking is chicken paprikash out of Hungary. And we had that for the first
I
time.
haven't
And
I haven't
yeah,
had that in years.
oh, it's phenomenal. It's another dish where just a handful of ingredients and it creates this amazing flavor. And you're like, can this all come from just those few things?
It's interesting. My mom was an okay cook, um, but I her my tastes exceeded what she would make.
That's a good way to put it.
Right? I remember uh, uh, cooking it at 5, 6 years old, like you. Um, our son, of course, was phenomenal, and by 9, he was making dinners for us, um, and made chocolate truffles. And he's a professional chef today. The Have you ever thought of? I mean, you're a senior advisor. You consult with companies to work with governments. Ever thought about becoming a professional chef, opening a restaurant or a sandwich shop?
Yeah, we've kicked that idea around, but I'll tell you, I'm sure your son knows this. I mean, the hours and the amount of effort you've got to put in to be successful doing that is just crazy. And I feel so much for any restaurateur that had to go through COVID and, adapt or die during that period. It was just horrendous. So I would, in theory, it sounds great, but in practice, it's like one of those things. I'll stay amateur.
I get it. I'm the same way. It's interesting. When I was a restaurant critic, and I've done radio and TV and print reviewing restaurants, nobody would invite us to dinner
Yeah.
because they were afraid.
Intimidated.
I'm sorry?
Intimidated.
Oh, yeah, I intimidated the hell out of people. I really did. It's pretty interesting. I'm going to walk over here and just take a look, see at our Dutch baby. Can I open the door, do you think?
Yeah.
It's puffed up on the side. In the middle, it's still a little raw, but it's cooking fast. We have a convection oven. It is at 425, so we'll let it go for another couple of minutes. You have kids? How many kids do you have, Jim?
So I have four. The youngest is 26, and my oldest is 32. So it's a bit of a range, and I've got two back home right now. So
Oh,
that just it seems that with this generation in particular, a lot of jump starts or kick starts to make things happen.
well, when you think that, a one-bedroom apartment can be $2,500 a month,
So,
it's a lot of money. Do your kids like to cook, or do they prefer to eat what you make?
so some are more bakers, and some are cooking mostly Greek and Italian foods, because they've learned that they're third generation, really learning from the grandparents those dishes, and so they all love to cook. Um, some specialize more in baking, and instead of cooking dinners and meals, they like to do specialty stuff.
And what about your wife?
But she's Greek and Italian, and so she can
Aha.
cook up a storm. I mean, she can make pretty much anything. I will do different specialty stuff, kind of off the wall things. I hunt and I fish, and so there's a lot of wild things that get thrown on a plate here. And then we have our own garden, and so we've had meals where the entire meal we either grew it or caught it. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, I can eat that stuff. I don't think I can pull the trigger. A fish would be okay. I mean, that's all right. I don't know why, but I don't think I could do Bambi. I I was one. I had some people invite me to go deer hunting, and
Right?
I said, "Gee, I don't think I could do Bambi," and they said, "Oh, just think of Bambi or the deer as a large rat with antlers because they're related." I
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
know if
it's
that's
just free
true or not.
range.
I'm sorry.
I said it's just free range meat.
Yes, exactly. And of course, most venison today is farm raised.
Right.
Let's talk about farm raised foods. Let's talk about organic. Do you go for organic or not?
So we are mostly organic. I mean, if we can get organic or grow it ourselves, that's what we want to do. And we've started even on our meats and things, switching to some of these mail orders now,
Hmm.
that you got a better control of the quality of the meat, or go to our own butcher versus buying it in the store. And so that's been probably a big change over the last 5 years, where we've really cleaned up our diet and really looked at what we're consuming and what it does to us.
What about eggs? I mean, you can buy a dozen eggs for like $2. I just bought organic eggs, a dozen for 4.5. I
Yeah,
think it's worth it for the difference.
I do too. And we have friends with chickens. And so when I'm lucky, we can get them direct. But otherwise, paying the extra couple bucks and buying the organic. I mean, you just look at the color of the yolk, and organic free range versus industrial eggs, and there's just no comparison.
We're going to take a look over here.
Yep.
Oh my! I'm going to spill it all over the place, Carol. Can you see that? Yeah. I'm going to take it out. Let me let me grab. His name is Moochie. Hi. How are you? Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it should deflate pretty quick after you pull it out, so you should be good.
Okay. Here we go. Now, before I want you to see this. It is gorgeous, Jim. It really
Look,
is. I have to tell everybody the oven was 425 degrees. This handle is 425 degrees. So
yeah.
please be extraordinarily careful when you cut it. And I've got to ask, how do I cut it, Jim?
Well, at that pan, I'm not sure about the sides on that. I
It's
would
an eight
typically
eight
like,
inch 8 inch skillet.
yeah. I mean, you can use a knife on that. You could use a pizza cutter maybe, but you're not going to get in those corners. Or just like an angle of the pie, to slice or pull out slices of pie. That's what I typically do, and just cut it in wedges and serve one up.
Got it. Well, we got to do that. What should I do?
Take a knife.
I'll
Maybe
use.
use one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Now
I
I
don't know
got
if
a
you
big.
sprinkle powdered sugar or anything on it, or you're just going to go for it. Oh, look at
No, I've
that.
got a little bit of powdered sugar because that's how I've had them in the past. And I have some boysenberry syrup that I
Oh,
might put on later on. Okay.
yeah, definitely be careful with that hot pan for sure.
Oh man,
Oh, look
it
at
is.
that.
I can feel how hot it is. Now I'm just going to take a small piece. Uh, it's amazing, Jim, because it did puff up.
Yeah, no baking soda, no baking powder, and it's just the heat and the ingredients being at room temperature allows it to really puff up like that and get that crust.
Okay. Put that. I did it.
You know, you touch
I
that.
touched. I touched the pan, and I did. Okay. Well, before I taste this, because I can tell what it's going to taste like, I'm putting on a little bit of powdered sugar. I'm going to let it cool for another minute.
Yeah,
It's very hot. Um, I hope you've had fun, and I'd love to
absolutely.
have you come back and maybe make a chicken dish with us that cooks quickly. One of my favorite Mediterranean French is chicken with olives and prunes. We haven't done that on the show, and a lot of garlic and seasoning. Um, and I think that I just thought of that while you were talking about what what your
Yeah,
specialties are.
yeah, kind of a Sicilian style with the olives
Yeah,
and prunes and maybe some
yeah,
pine nuts and
yeah.
really nice.
Nice olive oil. All right, let's try this. Now the blueberries are going to be a little bit hotter than the
Yeah,
batter
be
because
careful.
there's a lot of water in it. Mm, it's delicious.
Excellent.
It is really. Oh man, is that tasty? Excuse me, Jim. You talk. I'm going to eat.
Okay. Well, you've got that crust on the top and bottom from being so hot, and then you've got almost a custardy middle with the blueberries and the lemon. And most people don't add lemon juice. I add a little lemon juice because I just like that
Hmm.
extra citrus flavor. And you don't even miss the vanilla. It sounds like.
No, I don't. It would have been. It's fine this way. I was also thinking you could put a little bit of brandy in it, maybe a fruit brandy, like a blackberry brandy. Um, Not a lot, just a touch. When you cook, do you kind of invent as you're cooking?
Yeah, I tell people that I can kind of think in flavors, and so as I'm going along, oh, this would be good, this would be good, and start throwing things together, and then people try it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have the recipe," and I say, "I don't even remember what I did." It's
Yeah,
it's
I can
somebody
relate
has to
to
be
that.
recording me or something. I don't know.
Jim, I really appreciate your time today and connecting with us here on Mark Allen Cooks. We got a thumbs up from somebody, and uh, we're going to be back next week. Jim, I'm going to drag you here, kicking and screaming. We'll do it again sometime in September, maybe at the end of September, and
Sounds good.
really appreciate your joining us today. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Skull.
Mark.
Thank you.
Skull.
All right, hold on, Jim. Mm. Um, well, next week we have a special show. It's been pre-recorded. Robert Rivenbark is going to join us. Robert is an advertising writer and a novelist. And the idea, of course, is that everybody can cook. He's going to make a marinara with us. His recipe says, let's cook it for 6 hours. Well, we did it in a half hour and it was delicious. you'll have to watch next week. Robert's book is called The Cloud, and it was the first book ever to be reviewed by AI, artificial intelligence. All right, I'm Mark Alyn. Carol, thank you as always. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.